computer. I am sharing the screen now, sir.
दो हो जाएंगे.
Yesterday, a child did play a little. He found it colorful. Today, he has started again. He didn't give me the time to disable it. Thank you very much, my son. Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure. Pleasure. I had already done it yesterday, so I didn't need it today. And if you spoiled something that I used yesterday. Lovely, lovely. You give us no time. You are so skilled in technology. But because you have only one job to do, that is to destroy good work of others, we have another job to do, to create good work ourselves and help others to create good work, whosoever it is. My dear friends, I start now, and I think audio is not clear.
It is clear.
That's right. That's
Clear,
right.
sir.
Yesterday,
It's
when I started, at the very start, I told you I would be dealing with certain points, and 4 of them were our main targets: the infrastructure, the health and hygiene, the teaching, learning, and the surveillance. We have not completed all of them. We have completed a few of them. For example, we completed transportation. We did talk about the arrangements to be made at the entrance. We did speak about the sanitization to be done in the corridors. We did talk about the seating arrangements to be made in the classrooms, and our doctor was kind enough to tell us as to how to disinfect and sanitize our high contact areas. We will be talking today about toilet hygiene, drinking water hygiene, food hygiene, medical surveillance, and sanitization, but after some time. We did start with the assembly. We have not talked much about the activities. I'm not satisfied with what we said about blended learning. We may add a few more slides today. We will be starting with this social and emotional learning today. Assessment will take up, parent-teacher meet. We did say, and then surveillance is to be done today. So allow me, with your permission, I move down and I come to the basic slide with which I have to start today. Please unmute yourselves. He is doing it on everything. I think I will have to use first now an eraser to, what we call this, he did some annotation. What do I use? An eraser? Where is the eraser?
Sir, you go to the annotation and disable it. It will be okay.
I have disabled it already, sir.
You may re-share it again.
You need to do it once more, sir. It has not been done.
I have done it. I think I need to stop sharing.
Yes,
and
sir.
then come back. Then come back. Because whatever he did on the screen. And now he may be faster than me. I have disabled that. Now this is from where I would start. It's a small piece of information which may be of some use to you. I was looking at the response sheets from the Google Forms. This is not what I did. Google has done it for me. I found it that we had 72.3% people predominantly belong to the category of principals. What I found out was we had 9 school owners in this group. We had 19 directors in this group. We had 116 principals in this group. And we had 30 vice principals in this group. But they gave it to me in the form of a pie chart. And this information may be worthwhile. Total registrations and responses received till yesterday, because even yesterday while we were talking, registrations were going on. 3 people registered during that process. And we had to stop registration in the evening by saying that nobody can register now. We have 21 people still, or who have been exempted by me, who have not been able to pay their fee. I'll give you an interesting figure that might surprise you. We started, please mute yourself. Mute everybody. We started with the 15th of May. We had only 4 registrations. On 16th, we had 12. On 17th, 7. On 18th, 18. On 19th, 27. Looks like corona spreading. On 20th, 37. On 21st, 22, and on 22nd, that's one day before the webinar, 78. Well, that speaks of our habits, that we wait till the last minute and we follow the herd mentality. I don't know. And even on 23rd, while we were going ahead with the workshop, we had 23 registrations. That much for information. I introduce a concept which in the European world is called SEL, S-E-L, social and emotional learning. It's not a concept that has been introduced now. It has been, people in America especially have been working on it for the last 20 to 30 years. I mean, they have an emphasis that besides the curriculum, we have to ensure that some social learning and some emotional learning also happens in the classrooms. Now, I started with it today because you all are knowledgeable people, you are all experienced, you know that our students and our teachers who have been working from home will now come back once the schools open, which I hope must happen as early as possible. These children have been confined to the four walls of their houses. They couldn't visit even markets or malls or cinema houses, or they couldn't go anywhere. They couldn't contact with friends. Even in some of the colonies that I know of here, we were not allowed even to take a walk outside our own park or inside our own park. So naturally, when these children will come, they have been socially deprived of any kind of contact, and isolation, social isolation is detrimental. It builds up stress. At my age, it increases blood pressure. It can lead to depression. It can lead to psychosis. I have seen in my younger days that people who had schizophrenia, a split personality, it was caused sometimes by too much of isolation. And isolation led to psychosis that led to frustration and depression. Now, these children who are coming to you, my request to you, and possibly this will come as a directive from the NCRT also, is spend a week at least with them. If by a week, I mean you will be covering in a week the entire group twice or thrice. All students will be covered. Spend a week with them in certain activities that will help you to build up their social and emotional quotients. They need this. They need to control their anger. They need to understand how much we need to care for our others, how we need to empathize. And it may perhaps, we have seen in our experimental researches, which have been conducted all across the world, we have seen that if you build up social and emotional learning of the students, it improves their academic performance also. You can go through the philosophy, anyone who has the access to internet and all that, read the philosophy of responsive classrooms. Responsive classrooms. The philosophy is built on this very principle that as the children come in the morning, you smile at them, you shake hands with them, you have a high five with them. Sometimes you shake hands directly, sometimes you pat on their back, or you pat the two hands together, different handshakes with different people. And then as they come to the classes, they sit around you in a circle. You spend a circle time. Everybody has to say something. Everybody has written something which he puts in a basket there. And everybody is happy, is joyful. Everybody is given a task to help others. This kind of an environment is created in the first 15 to 20 minutes or even 30 minutes of a school. I was very glad I have one of my principals here. I was at his school at Rajkot. I wouldn't like him to mention that it was he. I saw that the children, while they were leaving, he had put on his prefectorial board across the corridors, and there were some teachers also. And every child, while leaving for his home, would give a high five to either a student, prefect, or to a teacher. And they all left smilingly. I only requested my son that day that it's good. He said, I have organized the traffic. He had a problem organizing the traffic of the students at the time of departure. It was a wonderful exercise. I was very happy. I said, my son, could you do it in the morning also? Why? I said, I want to come happily with the same smile back to the school rather than leave the school with these things. Oh, he was glad, and I think possibly before he could implement that practice and see its results, or he might have done it, he was transferred somewhere else. One of the things that you must do when the children come back to you in school is conduct certain exercises which are joyful. Just twitching their fingers, just tapping, shaking their arms. Last time, I think, who was it? I think there was a gentle lady who told us, Alpa, He told us in the workshop that put your both hands on your head and move them in a clockwise manner for a second or two, then move them in an anti-clockwise manner. This relaxes the muscles of the head. She is an expert from the art of living and then a principal director of a school. Have some exercises which give joy to the children. They must enjoy it, but maintain that social distance. Don't move them. Have some indoor games also during the day. Involve them in active learning, which will lead to active inquiry. This is learning through various activities where the child gets involved and he is not a passive listener to my talk. He is an active participant in the process of learning. Have some conversation in the class. It can be group conversation, it can be peer conversation, it can be a teacher conversing with the entire class, but this conversation should be based on reflective questions. If your questions begin with those W's like why, when, where, and what, the 4 W's and the 1 H. Rudyard Kipling said about those, these are my 5 unfailing friends. Whenever you begin your question with why does it happen? Why did he go there? How did he discover this place? Once you begin your questions, it makes us to think critically. That is reflective thinking. Do a session of storytelling every day. Tell them a very interesting story, something new, something new. You can imagine even the media people have a lot of common sense. They gave us the Mahabharata and the Ramayana and the story of the Krishna. And now I am hearing they are giving us the oldest serial that we had on the DD. I think Bunyad perhaps is being repeated. Now these storytelling sessions are also very important for building up emotional resilience. Give them some guided practice for mindfulness. Mindfulness is staying in the present, preparing yourself for the future, not getting worried about things that surround you, but finding a solution. It may involve a little of meditation also. It may involve a little of meditation. It may involve a little of calm, quiet being and concentrating within one's own self with one's eyes closed. Whatever your procedures, guided practices. I don't want you all close your eyes and meditate. No, guide them at every step. Make them breathe. There should be breathing exercises that go along with mindfulness. Deep breathing exercises are very useful in bringing back the power of concentration. Organize some group discussions on a theme, on a topic which is related to your chapters, but then the freedom should be given to the children to express their opinion. We may not contradict them, we may correct them later on. Have some role plays, have some skits, the Nukkad Nataks that you have been organizing. You see, this is the time to organize them. Annual function is not the time to organize them. In your classes, this must keep on going because we are working on their social deprivation. We are working on building up their emotional stability, their emotional resilience. And please engage or find out. You are so innovative. I know some of our teachers come up with certain activities which perhaps during my 50 years of teaching, I could have never thought of. And I even today am not capable of thinking. But they come up with activities that help the children to build up rapport with the family, rapport with the teachers, rapport with other children. That's important. And they learn to become teams. So my first request to you today is that when the children come back, you will not cater directly to academics. Indirectly, the academics will be the focus, but you will directly take charge of their social and emotional learning. I'll keep on expanding on this a little further. When you look at social and emotional learning, the children must understand what is self-awareness. Know thyself. That's what all the scriptures tell us. And self-awareness is a thinking skill. Please understand that. Self-awareness is not a social skill. Although when you become aware of your own self, what you are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what your good points are, what your bad points are, you are able to control much of the things that happen within the environment. Because then your being self-aware helps you to manage yourself. And self-management is the first thing that we must do. If I am not able to control my emotions, control my feelings, control my actions, then how do I advise others to control their actions? Responsible decision making is the third. This again is an intellectual skill. Problem solving and decision making are both intellectual skills, but then when the problems that are related to our social behavior or our emotional upheavals, should I get angry? Should I love this person or hate him? Should I be jealous and envious of him, or should I support him? Well, this kind of a decision is mostly emotional. There I am guided by my power of thinking, but the decision comes from the heart rather than the head. And then how do I build up interpersonal relationships? This interpersonal relationship is a social skill. It's not a thinking skill. How do I make friends? I was, for the past few days, I spent at least an hour and a half watching the Mahabharata once again. I watched it earlier when it came the first time. Many of you, when you were young, might have watched it. I saw something very interesting, and I use this with my own children and grandchildren here, explained the importance of them. The mother tells her 5 Pandavas, Kunti, tells her 5 Pandavas that I want you to eat your food, but I don't want you to bend your arms or bend your hands. Now each one tries to raise a morsel of food or tries to raise a laddu, which Bhimji is very fond of, but he cannot bring it to his mouth without bending his arm at the elbow. How can he do it? They are all sitting in a circle, and suddenly it strikes one of them that I lift a laddu and I give it and put it in the mouth of my brother. He puts it in the mouth of the second brother and the third, and the fifth one puts it into my mouth. So I have eaten my food without bending my arm. That's how teams are built. Teams are built to show you that relationships matter, and you must have skills. Perhaps this is the best thing that the army does. They have group testing in the NDA, where they test whether we can work in teams, whether we can relate ourselves to the other members of the team. And then, are you socially aware? We all are. We know there's a pandemic. We know people are suffering. We absorb all false information that comes to us, all fake news that comes to us as messages. Without even thinking for a minute, we circulate it. We are becoming instruments of that. We are not aware of how much damage it can do. Trust me, I watch news at least for 2 hours in a day. During these days, I have kept myself away from the news, because my news channel nowadays does not show anything except death, destruction, devastation, number of infected cases. They hardly speak in one sentence how many cases have recovered. Now, this kind of news may have an impact on the family members who also are watching along with me. I avoid it. Being aware of the society needs. I was delighted when I saw an elderly lady aged around 80 coming with me and saying, Bhai Sahab, aap kahan ja rahe hain? I said, I have to buy something, and somebody has brought it up to the gate, but we are not allowed. He is not allowed to come up to my flat to deliver it to me. I have to go to the gate. Can you help me to come to the gate? I saw she was carrying something. I didn't ask her. I said, yes, I can. So she held me by my elbow here, my arm, and she kept on walking. She had carried some small breads with her, loaves of bread, and she wanted it to be given to dogs. She requested that the dogs be fed. They are not getting anything to eat nowadays, and you don't allow them inside the colonies. We used to give them a lot of food, but nowadays they don't get much to eat. Now, this is being aware of the animals. You have to be socially aware also. See, the cell curriculum, the curriculum meant for social and emotional learning and instruction, has school-wise practices and policies. It's not that I do it and you do not as another teacher. It's not that we as teachers decide to do it and then the heads and the coordinators and the principal does not allow us to do it, or the management does not believe in it. They say, अरे यार इम्तिहान के लिए पहले तैयार करो, मेरे को सब फर्स्ट आने चाहें, बाद में देखेंगे बाढ़ में गई तुम्हारी social and emotional learning. I mean, our managements have also to be taken in the loop. Our parents' support is to be got. The entire family and the community has to be a partner in this program of making our children socially independent. You must have heard or read about the 4 pillars of education declared by UNESCO. The first pillar was learning to know. Am I right? The second pillar was learning to do, action oriented. What was the third pillar? Learning to live together. That's social awareness. And learning to be is emotional awareness. Existence, finding out the purpose of existence and leading a good life. I move further and I show you a video about social and emotional learning. Aroraji, can you hear?
No, sir. No, sir. No sound.
No sound?
No sound, sir.
1 minute, sir. You mean there was no sound?
No sound, sir.
I will have to share screen again, sir, then. Sir, now you won't have that problem, I promise you.
Social emotional learning is essential.
It's the tools that kids need to be resilient, to be problem solvers, to be good people.
SEL is really about the holistic development of young people.
SEL is trying to bring a balance to the individual and what are the personal competencies you need to develop to be successful. How do you pull them all together so that kids can relate and navigate the world more effectively?
The myth was that knowledge was information that could be bolted onto a brain like any other kind of mechanical part. The truth is, knowledge is constructive. The truth is, all learning is relational. The truth is that emotion drives attention, and attention drives learning.
Social and emotional learning is about how you do school. It's about what the student experiences, what the student learns, how teachers teach.
We can think about schools and classrooms, out-of-school time spaces, families, etc., as places where there's an exchange of knowledge about the world, knowledge about yourself, and knowledge about the other persons that you're interacting with. All of those kinds of experiences, I think, help form and expose and shape the ways in which young people understand themselves and other people.
And we start talking about the whole child. Does your child understand self-awareness? Do they understand social awareness? Do they make good decisions? Are they responsible? And then we start talking about what that applies to academics and looking at all the essential skills we need them to be successful in life.
Children learn when their heart is open, engaged, connected, and filled with purpose.
Learning is magical, and through SEL, we can create conditions that allow all kids to access that magic.
I think the video has helped us to clarify most of the concepts. I would come now to classroom activities. Please see that there is as less movement as possible, because you would like your children to go to the library for a library period and borrow some books or read some magazines. You would also like your children to go to the laboratory for their practical demonstrations or for practical work. Please, if you have to organize these activities and they are compulsory, I would like that they are avoided for some time. But if they become compulsory, you can do them in the classroom. And if it is now necessary that they visit, then get the places disinfected. A class has gone to the library. Now, as soon as the class comes out, before the other class enters, have the library disinfected. Have the tables and those magazines that are lying there on the tables, have them disinfected first before inviting the new class. So you have to exercise a lot of caution in terms of one class coming after another class. Before the other class joins, everything in that classroom that has been touched by a child, whether it's a mouse in the computer lab, whether it's a mouse pad, whether it's a book or a bookshelf, whether it's a reading room desk, or whether it's a Wheatstone bridge or an ammeter or a lens in the laboratory, that has to be disinfected. So you can understand this will add to lots of our work and problems. Please avoid any kind of an activity where a child has to enter into any kind of physical contact. Wrestling would be one such activity, don't have it. Kabaddi would be another, don't have it for the time being. Kho-kho would be another, avoid it. Such activities will have to be under all circumstances avoided for the time being. In case you want to have games and sports like chess, carom and badminton, you must ensure that that equipment which the children use is sanitized before another group of children comes and takes it up. It's not that it's after all a racket. The child unfortunately may have been infected and he may have left the virus there on that, and possibly that may lead to a spread. It may lead to a kind of a breakout. You have many questions about assessment. 2 of them I got yesterday. Now, I would clarify the concept of assessment in my own way. For me, I look up on assessment that you conduct as assessment for learning, assessment of learning, these two, that one at the top and the one at the bottom, you had heard about them. But you had not heard about one that I have put in the middle, assessment as learning. Now, when you are teaching children and you are asking them questions in the class, are you not assessing whether they are catching you, whether they are picking up, or whether they are learning? When you finish a small unit of a lesson within the first 10 minutes, you put up an activity where you seek their cooperation and ask them for answers. You find that some of the children are not able to answer. You give them a revision or a practice exercise. So you are using assessment in the classroom itself as a process of helping them to learn. It's a tool of learning. You are using assessment for enabling children to learn. This is the second concept, assessment as learning. Now, while you are going ahead, you found out that while teaching children and assessing them, that children have specific problems in certain areas. Not majority of them, but maybe some of them. So you need to remedify it. You need to go for remediation. You need to go for diagnosis. For example, one of my English teachers once told me that her children would never do well. And I found out that the children could do very well if somebody taught them the spellings correctly, and if somebody taught them the conjugation of the tenses. Once we did a little exercise for a week, we built up their base of spellings. We drilled their spellings 5 times each word, and we taught them what the sequence of tenses was, which noun, which pronoun takes what kind of verb. If it's singular, then the verb will be in this kind of a mode. We found out that their performance increased. I'm sharing a secret of my life with you. After the first 2 years, when I was the principal of a B.Ed college in Kashmir, we had only girls, only girls. The first year, we had majority of girls coming from Srinagar. Second year, the number dwindled, and we had a lot of girls who were tested and who entered. The test was conducted by us, not by the university. The university had no hand. We only had to submit the list to them. This was a regular course with almost 90% attendance. It was not possible somebody would maintain, and they were all boarders. Naturally, we had more percentage of students coming from Himachal, Punjab, Haryana, and a sprinkling, maybe an army officer's daughter or a wife coming from Delhi or Kerala or from Srinagar itself. Those children were excellent. I did find that majority of my students were at a loss to understand the basic principles of philosophy or psychology or methodology or educational technology. The reason being, they had passed and studied. They are up to graduation in Hindi medium. All of us sat down together, 22 of us. We decided to have 2 periods every day for teaching them English. We distributed our 240 students, divided by 20. You will automatically know that the number of children will not be more than 12. So 12 would come to me, and 12 would go to Neera madam, 12 would go to Hamid sir, 12 would go to Zadu madam, 12 would go to Krishna madam, and they would rotate after 1 week. Group A would go to the teacher in group B. I taught them, say, tense. Another gentleman taught them the words and the registry of words in education. Pupil, student, interaction, modification, behavior. These are terms that are used. We call it the registry of education. The third person taught them to speak in English. The fourth person taught them how to listen and make sense of what is spoken in English. The result was that one of these Hindi medium students, in comparison to students of our own university who were English medium throughout and others, stood first in the university. Now, this was remediation done after diagnosing the area of deficiency. Once you diagnose the area of deficiency, you automatically remedy that. And when you remedy that, your assessment of learning happens. It is assessment for learning now. So that is what we used to call as formative assessment in our CC. Now, at the end of 3 months, you may like to give them a unit test. You may give them a periodic test. At the end of 6 months, you may give them a kind of a test, which is a term test. Or at the end of a year, you may try to find out how much they have learned, because on the basis of this test, you will take a decision whether the child has to be promoted to the next class or has to repeat the class or needs to do a little additional work and go for a retest. Now, this kind of a decision is taken on the third form of assessment, which is known as assessment of learning. This is done after a long period when the entire academic session, which is meant for that entire duration of syllabus, covering of syllabi, is over. I would request that we forget that kind of assessment for the present. We go with assessment as learning. And if within the first week we find children have started responding very slowly, don't worry. Let them start learning at their own pace. Let them start learning at their own pace. Let us understand the concept of individual differences and the pacing. And then as the first 15 days are over, you can go for formative testing. You can give them a class test. You can find out how much of what you have taught during the period has been learned by them, and where are the areas, the common mistakes committed by them. There can be 1 or 2 lessons, online or offline, taken on that assessment. Don't bother yourself as to what will the board do. If the children are learning, assessment will come as a natural process, and children will do very well. Cramming and stuffing them therefore with knowledge is not necessary. So don't be concerned with assessment. Here I am requesting my friend to come in. Dr. Aroraji, are you there?
Yes, sir.
I'll do your job, you do my job.
Okay, sir.
Sir, this is
Thank you,
kitchen
thank
and
you.
hygiene. Would you please take it up?
Surely, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well, we might have a sprawling campus, wonderful architecture building, and we might have with us a good hostel. But if in the hostel our kitchen is not up to the mark, I'm sorry, it's not worth it. Kitchen and food hygiene. This is not something which is important these days. This is important every time. Whether COVID or no COVID, kitchen, food hygiene was very important. Why? Whenever a person comes with a child to get admission in a boarding house school, in a residential school, his first concern is, what are the facilities available? And the second concern is, what kind of food is available? If the food which is available is nutritious, healthy, then they are not worried. If the food is prepared in good condition, then it's all okay. But if there is a cockroach seen in the kitchen area or in the area where the food is cooked, sorry, will not be really wanting such a hostel to help our children to grow. So, forgetting that the normal requirements are that we should disinfect, but these days, essentially, we must make a group of teachers to look into this affair, that kitchen is in such a form that everybody should become proud of it. There should be no dampness. The areas where the water falls, if there is any algae on that, that should be removed. The corners where that black spots are there should be removed. There should be total cleaning done and disinfection done. The food articles, that is the raw material which we get, should be kept in an isolated form for a certain period of time so that the virus decays. We should use them only after a little while. And it's up to the standard these days that we keep these vegetables in lukewarm water with some salt put in it for a certain period of time, say about 30 to 40 minutes or 1 hour. Only then we prepare our food, cook our food. We should not call or ask our children to come in one go to come and have their food. In the past, we have half an hour or say 45 minutes marked for lunch time. Everybody, whosoever is to have lunch, will come within that time and take it. But now we require social distancing. We do not allow the children to sit on the table near to each other. So what we need to stagger the time and ask the children to come as 1/3.
Sir, unmute yourself. Aroraji, please unmute yourself. Aroraji, please unmute yourself. Aroraji is not hearing me.
I think somewhere somebody unmuted
I did
me.
it. I did it, sir.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I did it. I had to do it to mute everybody, and now nobody is able to unmute himself. So please unmute yourself. You alone can do it. Others
Sir,
cannot.
sir.
Unmute yourself. You can
Up
go
to
ahead. I'm
what
sorry.
point I have done? How much have you heard?
Doesn't matter. You go back by one sentence. That's all.
Okay. We should observe that our kitchen staff is maintaining all hygiene practices, and they are cooking and serving, keeping in mind that they have their hand gloves, they have their caps, they have their mask, and they are not touching the food with the hand, because food is being served and someone has to eat it. And while eating, there should not be any kind of contamination passed on. Next, we go to the point which says that the raw food and the cooked food should not mix with each other. The utensils should be kept away from each other. The cross-contamination is to be avoided in this very form. Sometimes we are unable to cook the food within the premises of the hostel or within the premises of the kitchen which is there. We have to depend upon outside sources. This third party might be cooking nicely or might not be, but it will be our responsibility to ensure that they are cooking, keeping in mind all the guidelines which is prescribed for cooking. These guidelines are to be observed by them, and our person should go there and approve that yes, the process and SOP being followed is up to the mark. Social distancing is one very important aspect. We can appoint monitors, supervisor, just like we appoint the supervisor in the examination, that the social distancing is kept. Sometimes it's not possible, then we can have dividers, which you had seen in one of the videos which was shown yesterday, that we can put the dividers in between the two persons who are eating on the same table, and they can perhaps now eat their food without any problem.
Yes, sir.
Moving to the next slide, we
That's
will
right.
talk about the toilets and bathroom hygiene. One previous.
You want me to go one back?
No, it's okay, sir.
That's right.
In normal days, the number of toilets, urinals available in a school may be little less or not functional. We may still go on with it and carry on with the daily school. But these days, this will not be okay. If we need to have more urinals or more toilets constructed, we must go for them. We must avoid the overcrowding. Overcrowding will rather spread the virus in a very fast manner. And this overcrowding is to be avoided not just by on its own. We have to appoint or fix duties of the teachers or senior students, that they must specifically observe that the distancing is maintained within the toilet. Ensure water, that is, running water should be there it should not be running to the extent that the free flow is there. The water taps should be all functional. There should be good enough that we can close them and we can open them and water comes out properly. There should be a possible arrangement where that we need not touch the tap, but that is not possible these days. We cannot avoid it that much. But if at all it is needed, or there can be a mechanism which can be devised that with the pressing of a foot knob, you can have the water available. It is okay. Such things are shown in the videos these days on WhatsApp and even on the TV screen. We should try that way.
1 second, Aroraji.
Yes, sir.
I think you and I have experience of visiting toilets at some of the best airports in India.
Sir.
I'm not talking of abroad, in India.
Yes, sir.
And when we would go to the wash basin, we would only extend our hands and suddenly the water would flow. As we would take our hands away, the tap would itself get switched off. We had not even to touch it or press it. And the same thing with air dryers. We would place our air, it would start sending, place our hands and it would start dry air. Such arrangement may involve costs to the tune of lakhs to the schools. But then, because this is going to be a normal for another couple of years, we need to invest it steadily. We may introduce only. Yes, sir. Yes,
I agree, sir. Go ahead, sir. I think the message has gone across that such investment is worth it. And this investment may be done now. Decision may be taken by the management that this will avoid the spread of the virus. Adequate soap baths and liquid soap should always be available. If this is available, then again another part, the 20-second used for washing the hands is the standard mentioned. And if we do so, it will be good. The only acceptable way out to kill this virus so far known to us is the 20-second of washing the hands with the soap. If that 20-second washing hand is done, we agree that yes, the virus is removed. But otherwise, if we go to the various other surfaces on which this virus is, it may take days that it decays. It does not decay at all. We must also ensure that those who are using the toilets, while going to the toilet, they may be touching many surfaces, touching the handle, the knob, the seat, the commode, the lid, the floor, or the taps. These all need to be disinfected after every use. Even the soap dispenser, from where the soap is taken out, needs to be disinfected every time. Otherwise, it will not be a foolproof kind of thing. We are required to exercise utmost cautiousness as far as possible. We move to the next point, and that is that we must place drying material. Professor Handoo has just stated that there are dryers in which we put our hands like this. The air will come and it will just dry our hand. Or there are dryers where the hot air comes and the hot air will remove the moisture from our hands. Such arrangements are also possible. The hot air kind of dryers are easy to install. They may not be that costly, but the other air dryer may take some investment from your exchequer. We must also ensure that in the urinals, there should be proper distancing. If there are 5 urinals, 1, 3, and 5 may be put to use. 2 and 4 may be put as a cross, that they are not available for use. Reason being that automatic distancing is done. This is being taken care of in case of airports, in case of railway stations or other public places these days. We must discard all the material which is being put to use for wiping. Pochas or mops. The pocha as such, after use, it must be put for washing, and if it is not now for washing, must be discarded. Disinfecting of all the equipment which are used for cleaning should be done. And that should be done every time they are moved from one area to another area, so that we don't carry any kind of virus or infection from one side to the other side. And we have to next take into consideration that the smaller children who have soiled their clothes or nappies, etc., or their pajamas, whatsoever, they should not be washed within the premises. They should better be put into a plastic bag and handed over to the parents. But these things are to be adopted, keeping in mind the kind of school we are in. If we are in a boarding house school, we have to have the arrangement for all these things within that boarding house. But if we are having the day school only, then the things are little different. Then for the smaller children, we must take care of handing over such soiled clothes to the parents in the plastic bags. We now go to the next point, and that is drinking water area. There should be enough potable water, drinkable water, RO water. The drinkable water or RO water, sometimes it is only available within a particular limited area, or sometimes the whole school gets that potable water or RO water for the consumption. It depends on the facilities available with the school, but in a public school, as all these principals are from public schools, I think they must be having arrangement for RO water. The RO water may be going direct to the water coolers, and from there the dispensers are dispensing that water to the students. This water should be available in enough quantity, and the water area should be sanitized every 1 hour or every half an hour. Why should it be sanitized? You very well know the reason for that. Meaning thereby someone should be put to duty that this is to be done, and someone should ensure that this is done. There should be zero mouth contact. Understand that. Children sometimes touch the water tap and drink the milk with the mouth. That should not be permitted. And someone should be given this duty that such things never happen. It will be much more appropriate that if we ask the children to bring the water bottles from their home, the name should be there written on it, and they must keep the bottle with themselves. Allow them one time that they may go and get the water filled in their bottle and come back. And within this class, within the class period or teaching activity, we may have the interval and say 1 minute break for water drinking. That will help them to concentrate more in their classroom activity as well as to get the lesson better. And very important part, that the taps which are normally 7, 8 in one go available and all could be used should now be put to use only on alternative basis. That is again to avoid the touch and avoid the contact, and social distancing is permitted. We move to the next.
Yes, sir.
Next slide. And yes, make it mandatory that every child wears the mask and maintains the distance. Not even the child, but even the teachers, all the staff members, those who are handling the kids, they must be wearing the mask. If they are wearing the mask and having the hand gloves, then the contact will not be there. They will be avoiding many possibilities of infections. In case of breakout, what happens? This was regarding drinking water, but in case of breakout, we should not be touching many surfaces as such where that breakout can spread further, like elevators or stair lifts. We should be little careful using them. They should not be permitted to be used at the time of outbreak. Open door with the help of your elbow or with the help of your leg or foot, or otherwise by pressing it with some part of the body, but not by way of touching it. Touching it would mean contamination traveling. And we should study the virus decay time. As I have seen, it is copper on which it is 4 hours, paper, glass, 4 days, cardboard, 24 hours, plastic, 3 to 7 days, and stainless steel, about 3 to 7 days. Wood and cloth, it takes about 2 days to decay. Meaning thereby, if we know this, then we are little cautious as to touch which thing and which should not be touched at all. We now go to the medical surveillance. Next, sir. In every school these days, we require to have a medical room, a infirmary, or sanatorium, or nurse room for emergency for the children. Not only that, the circulars have come from CBSE saying that you must have the nurse appointed in the school. And every school should conduct the medical test of the children twice a year. If not twice, at least once a year. And records should be shared with the parents also. Not only that, every time the parents must be asked if there is any problem with the child, that must be notified, and any allergy data. Your child might be allergic to certain medicine or might be allergic to certain food. That information should be recorded and made available handily.
Yes, sir.
COVID is threatening us. We need to have an isolation room. The room in itself should not be an apology to a room. It should have all the required equipment as well as all the required medicines, arrangements, so that in case of emergency, we can have the child placed there and give the child the help to recover. Mind it, we had been to various schools and seen sometimes the medical room is just like there in the geography lab, or it is there in one corner of the staff room. These things are not acceptable. In one of the very, very reputed school of Delhi, few years back, one of the girl of class 11 did not survive after being there in the volleyball or in the play field because of the asthma attack, and oxygen was not available in the school. There was a lot of problem. We need to have these days oxygen availability also, because this COVID problem is problem related with the respiratory system. We need to have the arrangement of oxygen cylinder, as well as the qualified nurse should be in a position to give oxygen as and when required. We must also, whenever it is found to be that some of the students are showing certain symptoms, immediately think of getting the information relating to the student, to the staff, to the family, to the community in which they're living, so that we can rule out the possibility of any spread to any side. Vaccinations are given or not, And if they are not given, ensure that they are given. Normally, up to the age of 5, 6 years, the children are given. But these days, as the children come and stay, come to the school even at the age of 3+ or 4+, we should ensure it. And if they are not administered, we should make it a point that the parents do their job very well. Medical history of all the children, whosoever is found to be having a slight deviation, maybe having sinus problem, maybe having coughing, regular coughing, then the immune system is little compromised, and we need to go for getting the medical history of the family and keep a record of it, so that whenever this becomes little bit serious, we can refer to that history and take proper action. And one thing more, we should have our attachment with one of the hospital where all such facilities are available, where in case of emergency, we can shift the child to. We can make a call to them, let the ambulance come and carry the child there, so that that could be, or he could be attended immediately. Next, we take up the next point, that is relating to the doubtful cases, which are, sorry, I'll take it up. Maintain record of daily temperature, but that of doubtful cases. Not that every child who is entering the school, we go on having the record of that child's temperature every day, or that of staff every day. In the morning, our screening is being done, of the thermal screening is done, whether the child is having extra temperature or high fever. If that is there, that's a doubtful case. We ask them to be on the side and not to mix up. But otherwise, if there is a problem which is noticed, then every day that record should be kept in with you. Make staff and student aware of the symptoms. Have workshops, have awareness program. Tell them what COVID is, how it spreads, what happens in 2 days, in 3 days, what are the other airborne problems which we face, what is influenza as such, and how can we get rid of, what cares we need to take up. We need to do one thing very, very important for all of us, that for the case of outbreak, there should be one rapid action team. This rapid action team is for the purpose of emergency. If you have noticed somebody is just behaving in a manner that it's a doubtful case, yes, don't touch that person, but carry him to the nurse. The checking is done. Immediately, what else to be done is as a SOP sorted out. And that SOP is to be followed, is known to the team takes over, and we are then better on a track which is to recovery. We should, in the absence of such workers sometimes in the rural area or in area which are little remotely situated, we take the help of ASHA workers or Anganwadi workers. These workers are available in the villages as such, but they can also be of some help to the schools wherever such nurses who are not available or occupied otherwise. Next, we'll go to I'll request Professor Handoo to please take over. Surveillance by teacher.
Sir, please look to the waiting room.
Yes, sir.
And I've received some messages. Dr. Avtar Singh will share those messages with you. There are some people using fake names, or they have changed their names after entering. 1 or 2 persons, doesn't matter. Okay. But right, nobody can deter us from moving ahead.
I'll take care, sir, don't worry.
Right. My dear friends, something interesting that I am bringing up now is your school has many processes. Say the admission is a process in itself. The recruitment is a process in itself. The timetabling is a process in itself. The record keeping is a process in itself. The teaching and learning is a process. The borrowing of books from the library is a process. Library management is a process. Organization of physical activities is a process. Every process has a process owner. You call him the in charge. The games in charge, the timetable in charge, the examination in charge. Generally, we have all kinds of names for them. But in quality terms, in quality parlance, we call these people as the process owners. A person who is responsible for the smooth functioning of that process. Why did I bring it up? Every process need not be documented, but there are certain processes which you may find are very vital, have not been happening as meticulously as they should have. Document them. And the moment you document them, it becomes a procedure. When a process is documented in quality terms, it's now called a procedure, because it lists down step by step all the details that need to be done to actualize that process. But bear in mind, before you start a process, every process has an objective. No process can exist in a school unless it has a specific purpose. For example, I asked a principal, what is the objective of your admission process? I mean, the principal was more qualified in quality terms than I was, and the principal replied, sir, my objective of conducting this admission process is that whatever vacancies I have are filled adequately by the best child. Absolutely right. Leaving behind, sir, some seats for the economically deprived sections of the society as per government orders. There was another gentleman whom I asked, what is the objective of the admission process? Sir, catch as many I can from wherever I can, without certificates even, without promotions even. I want my roles to increase. That is my existence, sir. If the roles increase, the school has funds, the management is happy. I will get my confirmation, otherwise I won't. Now you can see when the objective is different, the process will be different. I have seen schools running after children who have failed in other schools and admitting them. And sometimes schools not even admitting children, allowing them to appear in the examination and 0% attendance. The child is studying with some coaching class at one or the other place, maybe in Chandigarh, maybe at Bansal's Kota or somewhere else. Now, if the objective is clear, then the steps of the process are clear and you are likely to achieve your objective. But one thing that we forget, which every quality gentleman who has worked with quality, who has worked on quality and who has been taught about quality will tell you, and Professor Handoo folds his hands and requests you, no process works unless it is monitored. And monitoring does not come in suddenly. I am the director of a school, I pay a visit and I have monitored. No, monitoring must have a mechanism. Even the parameters of what is being monitored must be told to the person as to what he is being monitored at or monitored for. If I tell my teachers that I'm going to visit your classes and monitor your teaching learning, sir, they will lose all their confidence. If I tell them, I would like to come to your class and watch your lesson, and I will be looking at the following things: how well you communicate, what methodology you use, how well you write on the blackboard or you use your online portals, and what is the impact of your teaching on the children, how you engage the children in the process of learning. These are my parameters that I will be observing. I am sure that within a month, these parameters will increase. The engagement of children in the class will increase, the activities will increase. Unless there is monitoring of a system, nothing happens. And I request you as teachers that you have to be responsible for this surveillance. You have to be responsible for this monitoring of this entire system. Anytime in the case of junior children, if you see some skin irritation, if you see the child is losing his temper very frequently, he was a very mild and polite child, but he becomes a naggard now, he nags at everything. And you must get alerted and warned that this is a symptom of COVID, perhaps could be of something else also. And in older, senior students, if you see a redness or rashes, and if it's accompanied by fever, then these are the symptoms. So be alert, keep your eyes and ears open, be watchful, know the behavior of each child in junior classes, and know if this behavior undergoes a little change, there is a problem that needs to be addressed. Please find out from the children if there has been a travel history in the home without asking a direct question. Who in your family went to London recently, or who visited Rome? We can ask a question. I would like all the children to talk about the visits they and their family members or their only family members made to other countries of the world, and what they describe to you as their experiences. You will automatically have this whole history. If any of their members, family members, has visited a foreign country and has come back, well, then there can be chances of having caught this infection. There can be children like my grandchildren who live with me most of the time. I would say not always, but most of the time. There can be children in the families who are living with elderly people. They have an elderly grandfather, an elderly uncle, or an elderly grandmother, or an elderly auntie. And those people, because they are above the age of 65, they are likely to be prone to this disease. Such children are vulnerable. They are at risk. This is why you have to find. Yes, could you describe your family to me? Your family tree you must make. Who all live with you? Who tells you stories? Who puts you to bed? Who packs your lunchbox? If you find no, it's a nuclear family, it's a small family, then you can write nuclear family. Otherwise, you can write joint family with elderly people at risk. This is what the teachers have to do. Besides this, have always the contact numbers of all the parents on your mobile phone. Have a group of your class. You will have a what is up group of your class 6 which you are teaching, or you are a class teacher of class 7. You should have that as a group so that contact numbers of every person are available. And if sometimes you have alternate contact numbers of the father and the mother also, or duplicate numbers, I don't mind. When you are building your lesson plans, please bear in mind that you have to use minimum physical contact with the child if he is with you in the class, and even virtual contact has to be ensured or increased. Even student-to-student contact has to be reduced to the maximum. I was yesterday listening to a lesson. My grandson was attending to a mathematics lesson. A brilliant teacher was teaching. My hats off to that teacher. How lovely, how, I would say, empathetic, how cautious, how polite, how smiling he was. One student asked him. My grandson was listening. I was also sitting by his side. The student said, "Sir, you were teaching us rational numbers, sir. Sir, I didn't understand them." "No worry, my son. They are not that difficult. You can understand them very easily. Can you do me a favor? After our class is over, you give me a call, or I will call you. I have your number, and we can talk for half an hour. I'll give you some examples. We'll clarify." There was another child who said, "Sir, all the staff members have asked us to submit project files, and there is a last date for it, sir." "Yes, where is the problem?" "Sir, the problem is we don't have any stationery shop in our vicinity, and those that are there are all closed, sir. Sir, I am living in an area which is a hotspot area." "No problem, my son." "Sir, can I not present as a PPT?" "You can, but those are not my orders, because the entire staff has taken this decision. I am going to meet. We have a staff meeting on Zoom today. I will put up your point, my son, and discuss it. They may say not a PPT. They may say, because you are so good at computer, the child was from class 7. You may do it as a Word document only, and then later on carry it in your pen drive and give it to us. Or maybe within a month or within 10 days, shopkeepers will open their shops and you can get the requisite stationery that you want. He was so empathetic. He was so helpful. He was so kind that everybody was satisfied in the class. And I was more than satisfied, because I felt that, oh God, give me a larger number of such good teachers. Your lesson plans have to be such that do not require any kind of a contact with the child or contact of one child with another child. I mean, we are very fond of telling him, whisper the answer into his ear, shake hands with him, not give him a hand, but give him a hug. Well, these things have to be avoided. Then the children have also to be counseled. 1 or 2 periods every day, repeatedly for a week, may counsel them as to how should they take care of themselves. Like Aroraji said, 20 seconds for washing our hands. Not only washing, letting the soap remain for 20 seconds on our hands. That's what he wanted. And how do we wash? Demonstrate it. Demonstrate it, fully demonstrate it. And the soap, foam of the soap should stay on our hands. Now you have to raise their morale also besides teaching them self-care. You can ask them, don't ring a bell if you go up to a neighbor's house. Ring it with the knuckle of your hand or ring it with your elbow. Don't touch anything. If you get a packet from somewhere, ask the man to leave the packet at your door. Let the packet stay there. Ask your papa when he comes to disinfect it. Then bring it inside the house. Don't bring it inside the house. You heard Aroraji said just now that on paper it stays for more than 2 days. I have not been getting any newspapers for the last so many months. Doesn't matter. We'll manage electronically to read newspapers. And then raise their morale. Wonderful. You can all do very well. You are excellent children. You behaved so nicely during my classes. You have learned many things. We have a long way to go, but we'll learn. Doesn't matter. We'll learn slowly. Let's take care of our health this time. Let us see that everybody is safe. Once everybody is safe, we will start doing a little exercise also now. We'll have a little yoga also now to keep ourselves fit. We will increase our power of concentration through meditation also. And then we'll start studying. And if you can't study the whole syllabus in one go, we'll study it in parts. That's how you have to do morale boosting, we call it. Please keep a record of all the absentees with you. If you find a child is frequently absenting himself, well, then there's a problem. He is well today, ill tomorrow. If a child has been absenting himself for a very long time, his parent may have already decided to withdraw him. He may not be interested in sending him to school at all. He may have taken a decision that he wants some other kind of coaching. So keep a record of this absenteeism and keep on talking to the parents, asking them, if you as teachers are not able to do it so effectively, you fail to understand, request the coordinator, request the head teacher, or request the principal to talk to such children. I move further. We are talking of surveillance by the principal. I was able to download this picture from the net. I don't know if she happens to be one of my sisters here. I apologize. That's all I can say, but it's a wonderful picture of a principal with a smile on her face. This is what I want all of you to be. And start smiling right from today. Don't think that that day you will bring an artificial smile on your face, people will catch you up. They will say she is laughing. And I remember the lines of Robert Browning. She laughed, and then all smiles stopped together. This is an obscure line, the meaning of which we have not been able to find till date. And even though the critics went to Robert Browning's wife, Elizabeth Barrett, and asked her, Madam, what's the meaning of these lines? She said, I don't know, let's go to the poet. And the poet looked at it. The critics were sick-eared. They were terribly afraid of him. He was a poet laureate. He looked at the poem, dropped his pince nez, and said, gentlemen, when I wrote this poem, she laughed and laughed. This is Last Duchess. The poem is Last Duchess. The lines are, she laughed, and then all smiles stopped together. Gentlemen, when I wrote this poem, two people knew its meaning, God and I. Today, I also do not know, so he only knows. Obscurity. They hide their meanings. Your smile will become a natural smile if you make a habit of smiling right from today. And your smile is infectious. As you smile, teachers will smile, children will smile. And they will feel, oh, we have come to a place where everybody is smiling. I mean, this they won't say. This will happen all mentally, emotionally. Please download all the mandated applications. I hope everybody has the Arogya Setu. I can look at my mobile and tell you that for the last 28 days, within 1 kilometer radius of where I am living, we didn't have more than 2 cases. Those 2 cases were 28 days earlier. And those 2 cases have come in contact with another 5 people during these 28 days or earlier. So those 5 people are being kept under surveillance. Otherwise, nothing. I have total information like this, and I have filled in all my self-assessment schedule. So it says, Professor Handoo, you are safe. Have this. Please have this. And make your students and your staff also download it. I'm not propagating for an application. It won't steal any of your data, I can assure you. The application steals data, rather picks up data only of those cases who are identified as infections. It goes to a Google site where it is further scrutinized and then identification done. Whatever you have to do now, when the schools are closed, or in case the schools continue to remain closed for another 2 to 3 months, I am hopeful that they should open by August, but maybe they do not happen. It happens somewhere in September. well, then start planning what kind of operations you need to do. I was delighted to see the academic curriculum calendar. People are calling it curriculum. It's not a curriculum, it's a calendar of 4 weeks made by the NCERT. 4-week calendar of lessons and lesson plans made by the NCERT for children of the primary classes, children of the middle and elementary classes, that's class 6 to class 8. And now they have come up with the secondary curriculum also. I downloaded that yesterday, but I have not read it as yet. I would request each one of you to go through this ACC, we call it. It's available on the NCERT website. You go to NCERT website, you will find blinkers, red blinkers on ACC senior secondary. As you click on that, you will find ACC both in English as well as in Hindi available for all of you. So when you go through that, you can pass it on to your teachers and ask them to make their plans of lessons, especially online lessons, as to how they will have the lessons going. Now the chances, and about which I am very sad, I feel afraid of it. If there is an outbreak within your school, have a flow chart ready as to what kind of measures you will take. If there is an outbreak in class A, what measures have I to take? Close class A for 10 days, 14 days. Class B and class C, which are in the vicinity on the right hand side and the left hand side, all children quarantined at their homes for 14 days. Teachers who went to this class for the last 3 days, teacher A, teacher X, teacher Y, teacher P, teacher Q, to be requested to quarantine themselves at home, not coming to school. These plans will have to be kept ready. Who will teach in their place in the school? Because this can happen when children start coming to the school. We can have cases, may have cases, may not have cases. If we do not have them, well, God will, will have blessed you as well as me. I mean, our children will be at least safe. But then if these cases are happening within the school, you have 2 children, 1 child, 3 children from different classes, well, this is an outbreak, and have a plan ready for it today. And then pray to God when you keep this plan in your drawer that God, I won't be opening this drawer, so don't let me open it. And I am sure you are with me. You are with my children. Do not make me open this drawer at all, but the plan has to be ready beforehand. And then you must train all your teachers and your students on online tools. Do you know why I started these programs on Saturdays and Sundays? I'm revealing the secret before you. My first Zoom meeting was somewhere in the month of April. I found out that many of my teachers, hundreds, thousands, and millions, did not know who was Zoom, did not know who was Google Classroom, did not know what was Pedalite, did not know what was Kahoot, did not know what was Microsoft Teams. They did not know this. And there were people like me who knew the names but had not used them. So I had people called in who were experts in using online teaching, whom I had seen doing online training of teachers for quite some time. I had session on how to work with Zoom. So the person told us where to enter it, how does it work, how can you engage your children. It was 1.5 hour session, but we had only 100 participants that day because our Zoom was a free Zoom and we had the limit of participants up to 100. The second day we went again and we taught them what was Google Classroom. I was not satisfied. I said we must have a third session also on the next Saturday, and it should tell us about Google Forms, Google Opinion Polls, and Google Meet also. It should talk about that. So we had a third session. By now I saw that many people after 100 were getting disappointed. So I purchased a pro account which took me up to 500. There were people who wanted webinars. I said no. I just want to look at their faces. It gives me the feeling that we are all alive and we are going to survive this ordeal. Don't worry about it. So then when we started Zoom, we had other people and we asked people to give us questions that they had. What kind of difficulties did they face? And then I had a session with a group of teachers where I said, what are the things that you need to bear in mind while online teaching is to be done? For example, I am sitting here in my room and you are sitting in your own rooms. This is not the way online teaching happens. Online teaching has to be done by all teachers standing. And online teaching cannot happen that you are looking at my face. You should be looking at my arms. You should be looking at my dramatic actions. I should be doing more dramatic gestures, postures, facial expressions than I do in the normal class, because they are on the other side of the screen. They will not feel my presence unless I become more dramatic. Now, besides, I need not have more than 4 or 5 sentences written on a single slide. I need not have a video of more than 5 minutes. Now, these are some basic rules of online teaching. Somebody had to tell it to my teachers. And then there came a question, sir, tell us how to make videos. So we taught them how to make their own videos. We did it for our own teachers because that's our community. We belong to the same community. We also have been teachers, and we also did not know many things, but we had mentors, we had gurus who taught us all these things. So we thought we owed it to the society and we should give it to them. We should give it to them. Whosoever wants to benefit will benefit. Whosoever doesn't want to, he will not. Now, please give this training to your teachers as to what online platforms you are using. If you are using Google Classroom in your school, train all the teachers for 1 or 2 sessions through an expert on Google Classrooms. Then stay in touch as the principal with them and ask them questions. Are you facing any difficulty? Are you able to manage this? Don't enter and monitor only. That monitoring is not monitoring, that is exercising your control. That is showing your control. Today, I have a principal writing to me, sir, there is no connectivity in this area. Can my wife attend in my place? If there is no connectivity, how can the wife attend? I am really surprised. But then this is foolishness. Please teach them how to use, whether Google platform is to be used, whether Microsoft Teams is to be used. Make them absolutely conversant with this tool. Then you will see miracles happening in your classes, I promise you. The appropriate authorities are your education department. I am cautioning you, and I am not a futurist like Alvin Toffler. I did not write the third wave. I did not write the future shock. That was Alvin Toffler. I am not predicting future. But yesterday I said to you, please be very cautious. Leave your ornaments, leave your watches, leave your costly mobiles at home when you go out. Because if you start making this as a habit now, very soon problems are going to occur. Yesterday, these directives came in Varanasi. And one of my sons, who is the principal of a school in Varanasi, he wrote back after somebody gave the newspaper cutting in our group. He wrote, Professor Handoo told us this in the meeting already. Now, similarly, I am going to make one more prediction here that I wish that comes untrue. I pray to God that it comes untrue. The government is going to appoint monitors from the education department who will come to your school before you open your schools. They are going to inspect your schools on quality assurance systems, like all these precautions that we told you. And the COSI has built a long list of them. They will check all these things, and if they report, yes, the school is ready, you will be allowed to open. Otherwise, outside your school, they will put 2 ribbons, closed till further orders. Now, this also may happen. Therefore, stay in touch with the appropriate authorities, both of the health department as well as of the education department, and keep yourself updated about things that are happening with regard to COVID. At the same time, whatever records you have in your office, it won't mean much of an expenditure. Please digitize them. This is one-time expenditure, but you will have to do it. All required documents. You need the parent's name. You need the information as to where he lived. You need to know which are the places that he visited. You need to know where you organize these activities. Keep this record all in a digital format available with you. Carry your laptop from your school to home, bring it back. It should have a copy of the digital records. Otherwise, it could be maintained in the school and at some other place for safety reason. And please take some programs of awareness within the community, within the society. You could call the parents and by groups of 20 each, and you could have a small orientation session of half an hour with them. Not only on Zoom, when the parents come to school, more and more awareness has to spread. It has spread to a large number of sections, but there is need for more spread by this. And here I give you a video, which is my favorite video for these days. Let me see if I can play it. It plays itself on its own. That's very interesting.
Hello, I'm John Quelch, the Dean of the University of Miami Herbert Business School. I want to share with you my 7 C's for coronavirus survival if you're a manager or a leader. Number 1 is calm. Your folks, your employees, your customers, your suppliers are going to be looking to you as a leader to project a sense of calm through this difficult, uncertain situation. Number 2, confidence. You have to be calm, but not still water calm. You have to project confidence that you're going to be able to see this through successfully with the minimum amount of hurt to the company, but also to all of the stakeholders who are relying on your leadership to get them through the difficult days and months ahead. Number 3 is communication. You have to relentlessly communicate. This is to avoid rumors developing that muddy the waters. But when I'm talking about communication, I'm also talking about a strategy for communication. You have to have a sense of order in which to communicate decisions and priorities, but you also have to have rapid communication to the entire body of constituents, not delays over hours or days or even worse, weeks. And silence is absolutely the worst possible thing that you can allow to happen, because that's when the rumor mill develops. So far we have keep calm, project confidence, relentlessly communicate. Number 4 is collaboration. You are not going to know all the answers. No one expects you to. This is a time for you to call on the resources, the capabilities of all of your employees, all of your team members, and bring them together in task forces, sub-task forces, have everyone potentially given a role in which they feel they can be contributing to overcoming the uncertainty, overcoming the crisis. Engaging a lot of your employees in this way will also reduce the rumor mill, give confidence to them that they will then project in turn to the people who are relying on them as their managers for direction. So collaboration, teamwork, delving into your organization to find the hidden nuggets, the people who really can step up at this moment. That's going to be very, very important. Next, I would say community. All of us live in communities. Our factories are in communities. Our colleges and universities are in communities. We are leading by example, not just within our organizations, but within our broader communities. And especially since we're talking here about an infectious virus, it's extremely important that we set an example, we model behaviors that are community-friendly and community-supportive behaviors. I would say compassion is extremely important at this time. You or I may have a strong stomach for these kinds of events. We may rise to the occasion if we're fortunate to have a good team around us. But there are many people in our organizations who are depending upon us who are not necessarily that resilient. And they need to be given the compassion to express their concerns in ways that, you or I might not necessarily need to do. So think of someone in your organization who has elderly parents who are in a fragile state of health. They're going to be doubly concerned about those relatives at this time when the virus is potentially affecting the most vulnerable and medically challenged in our communities. And therefore, if they want time off, if they want to work from home, if they need to have a little bit of space to look after their family members, please consider giving that to them. Compassion at a time of crisis is a very important manifestation of leadership. The most obvious commercial C of the 7 C's is cash. Cash is king at a time of crisis, and everything needs to be done to look both short-term and long-term at the financial health of the organization, because after all of your employees, suppliers, and customers are depending upon you to lead not just emotionally, but also prudently with respect to the long-term finances of the organization. So whatever you can do to conserve cash is going to be very important because that's what's going to determine whether or not your employees are going to be paid next week. To summarize the 7 C's that I've been talking about: number 1, stay calm. Number 2, project confidence. Number 3, communicate relentlessly. Number 4, collaborate. Look out for your teams and work with your team members. Number 5, community. We are in a community virus spreading environment. You have to look out for not just yourself, your company, your organization, but the community as well in the messaging that you're sending. Number 6 is compassion. Be compassionate to those who need that sense of reassurance and understanding at this difficult time. And number 7, cash. Cash is king. The leader has to look out for the financial future, not just the emotional future.
Thank you for watching it. I would like you to go with me and count these 7 C's once again. I'll count them on my hands. You can also count them internally. You don't need to speak to me. The first was calm. Keep calm. Very important in this time. The second was you must be confident in dealing with any kind of a problem. Calmness gives you the strength. Serenity gives you the strength to be confident. But calmness does not mean you do not act at all. You are not still water calm. You are calm, there's a turmoil within. And that turmoil is the amount of confidence you have to face everything that goes on. What was the third? Yes, my fingers should say. Calm, confidence, and then? Yes, I'm waiting for somebody to write in the chat so that I can get the answer there. I don't remember all the 7. Come on. Yes, Avtar Singh ji, what is the third?
Yes, they have written, sir.
They have written. Can you read the first one? Is
sir, communicate by
calm. Communicate is the most important. This is why I did not say it. He used the word repetitive communication. Prioritize your communication. Would you speak verbally? Would you send circulars? Would you speak one-to-one on phone? Would you publicize the information that you want to give to the parent community in a newspaper? Would you send it through a circular or through a handbill? How are you going to communicate to your team? How are you going to communicate to your children? Every word that you speak in this moment of crisis is going to count. Therefore, your communication is not a one-time communication. It has to be repetitive. Keep it precise, keep it brief, but keep it please to the point and keep it accurate. Otherwise, what is going to happen? If you do not communicate, because there are some of us, and I love them, they are taciturn, they do not talk as much as Professor Handoo talks. And therefore, I love them for their taciturnity, which is a quality the British people have usually. But present day, if somebody does not open his mouth, good, he will not catch any flies. But one problem will spread around him, rumors will spread around him. If you do not want the rumors to spread, then you can quash these rumors by communicating as frequently as possible. Yes, sir, what is the fourth?
Community.
I think that should come after collaboration.
After
sir.
Collaboration.
Right. Fourth should be collaborate. You need to have a team of people with you. You do not have all the information. Your entire staff should collaborate. This time there are no highs and lows. There is nobody who is a know-all and somebody who doesn't know anything. Everybody knows a little. So all of us can contribute to the information pool vis-a-vis a problem, vis-a-vis a dangerous sequence. And even the principals can collaborate in their own small teams that they have of the school hubs or the larger teams that they have of the Sahodiyas. Do this collaboration exercise as often as possible. Then bear in mind your community, that is the stakeholders. The stakeholders, the parents, the children, the teachers. Be conscious of the problems that they are facing. And as you become conscious of the problems that you are facing, you will develop compassion. Compassion is not empathy. It is much higher than empathy. I'll find tomorrow that one of my teachers has a husband and they are both joining their office now. And they have 2 children at home. One is going to come on the odd day and the other on the even day. How is it possible? I must allow both of them on the same day. I can make that adaptation. That is showing compassion. I have a teacher who has somebody in her family who has been ill for the past few days. Likelihood that the infection may catch up. She needs some rest and holidays. Extend your medical leave as per rules, maybe only 10 days or 15 days. You enjoy special powers in this amount of crisis. You give him paid leave for this period of time. There may be a teacher and you can ask her, all right, you will not engage all the classes, but you will engage some classes online. I will have an assistant teacher there in the class who will be listening to the lectures and who will be watching what all you are telling. Have that feeling of love and care for others also, and support your team, support your members, and let this compassion be extended not only to my children and their parents, not only to my teachers and their families, but to the community at large. And then ultimately, cash. Cash becomes very important. I'll take it up separately in another slide, because I will have to talk a little more, means 2 lines or 2 sentences more. Well, this is your opening plan. I hope by now, yesterday you must have thought a little while. I'm sorry if you did not sleep at your usual time. You had to take an hour extra because you were thinking in your mind as to how you would organize your school. Would you have the whole school, or would you have the school? Would you have it odds coming on Monday, Thursday, Wednesday, so and so forth, and others on Tuesday and so forth? You must have made a tentative plan of that. Please, before you start executing that plan, call only 2 classes to the school. When the government declares that from tomorrow all schools are opening, inform your parents. It will be only the odd roll numbers of class 9th and the even roll numbers of class 11th who will be coming tomorrow. Do not call more than 2 classes, because you have to test your own systems. You have to lay down your procedures. You have to exercise control over them. Please do not call all of them. Call just 2 classes. I deliberately said 9th and 11th because they are to prepare for the board examination. That may be your 10th and 12th. You could call them also. While you call them, then the rest of the school could be opened up in a phased manner. You may decide that, all right, on Monday and on Wednesday and on Friday, I will have all the odd roll numbers with a little change here and there, adjustments made. And then, because there is a staggered approach, you may choose this Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you may choose this Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. While one class is offline, the other half of the class is online. Next plan for us is, you will have to take care and keep in priority those students whose parents are working and especially are in jobs. If they do not fall under the odd and even, you may adjust them in a group and remove somebody from the odd group to join the even group, making a special mention that you have to look after these priorities. Please do not receive any payments in your school. Do not allow any of your cashiers to touch cash, to touch currency, or to touch receipts. The parents also are not to be given any receipts which they should hold in their hands. No. All transactions to be made through the bank. You have a bank branch. Most of the schools have that, but they have additional arrangement of accepting the cash in the school. Please don't do that. Stop that for the time being till COVID is over. You may restart the process once again. Now, since you are running the school in shifts, if it's not possible to run the whole school, and if you do not have enough rooms, then you have to break the school and you have to stagger the school. And now I come to the point that I left there. You have all made a school plan. You have all made a school budget. Pramod ji, he is right in front of me. I can watch him. I can see him. He made his annual budget, estimating what his income would be and thereby estimating what his expenditure would be. He increased 10% on certain items. He kept 30,000 for books, 60,000 for the library. He kept 60 lakhs for salaries, and so on and so forth. He kept on arranging this. I am sorry, Pramod ji, to tell you that budget has gone for a toss Everything will have to be recast now. Your incomes may get reduced terribly. The budget expenditures may increase on certain other heads. You had planned for the library, put it on hold. You had planned to purchase some science equipment, put it on hold. You will purchase sanitizers now. You will purchase mops now. You will purchase thermal scanners now. So when you make that provision, it is the whole budget exercise of anticipating. Word is anticipating your income and thereby anticipating your expenditure. This will have to be balanced, because when you go with the revised budget, see, if you write to your management, sir, I need 2 lakhs because I have to buy sanitizers. How many sanitizers for how many months? Where from will I arrange them? Instead, if you present a budget to him, which shows the income receipts have fallen, but you have reduced the expenditure on certain other heads, and now you are adding up these expenditures that have become essential, he will at once agree to it because it doesn't disturb his equilibrium now. I would like the attention, Avtar Singh ji, if Rupam comes in, please let me know. Rupam, if you could tell me if you are here, or Avtar Singh ji could
She
tell
has
me.
joined, sir. She has joined.
She is here. Rupam, I'm taking just 5 to 10 minutes. I'll finish this, then I'll call you, and then I need last 5 minutes. This is survival to celebration. Survival to celebration. First, the need is what our beloved Prime Minister said. Jaan hai to jahan hai. That was first. Now he says, Jaan bhi honi chahiye aur jahan bhi hona chahiye. That's why he is opening up steadily, so that while we take protections and precautions, we save ourselves, we try to save the world as well as the community and the country. Now, in this survival to celebration that you see on the left-hand column, you started with a hammer and nail. Whatever came your way, you use the nail and drove it inside using a hammer. But now we have come to facts. We are not bothered about rumors now. We have to reassemble ourselves. We have to revitalize our energies. We have been staying indoors for quite some time. We did the ringing of the thalis and the bells. We did the lighting of the lamps. We sprayed flowers on our corona warriors. Everything fine was needed. We did it all very well. But now let us reassemble our all separates. Let me think rationally now. Let me emotionally be balanced now. Reassemble all my capacities. And that would be my leadership. If I have learned from the hammer and nail how to reassemble myself, I will become a better leader. Initially, I was not in control of anything. Everything was happening because on a Saturday, he declared that we would be observing Sunday as Janta curfew. It was non-deliberate, but he made it deliberate for me because now I was doing it for myself. I was keeping myself indoors. I thought of recreation on the first day. But very soon when he announced for the first 14 days, then another 1 week, then another 1 week, it was bound to happen. We started adapting to the environment. We have come to a mode now where if he says from tomorrow onwards, you can go back to your work, please bear in mind that every half an hour or 20 minutes, you wash your hands for 20 seconds. Anything you touch, wash your hands and sanitize them. Anywhere you go before entering, sanitize your hands. Don't press the doorbells. These are a long list of do's and do nots that have been given to us. We should now be on auto mode. Now nobody needs to tell us. I was surprised in the morning today. It was a video clip of 3 days earlier function going on somewhere, and people were walking like a herd, a crowd of people. And the press reporter asked, the media reporter asked somebody, "Sir, ये क्या हो रहा है?" तो उसने जवाब दिया कि इस दिन शबी कदर हो, शबी बारात हो, मेराजुल आलम हो, इस दिन ये होता है, आप रोक नहीं सकते। अगर रोक सकते हैं तो रोकिए। अरे बाबा, अब हमने ऑटो मोड पे जाना है, रोक तो नहीं सकते हैं। I know we have had certain cultural traditions. अगर आज कुंभ का मेला होता, जरा मुझे रोक के दिखा दो, किसको रोकोगे? बहुत मुश्किल होगा हमारे लिए ऑटो मोड पे जाना। But a time has come when we have to control ourselves, and our own deeds will speak for us. I come to this chart, you can't make much sense of it, and I must express my gratitude to Arora ji, who saw that and thought Professor Handoo will not be able to read it, nor will his friends. He gave me this one in the morning today, and I added it immediately. Now we have to move, during this COVID-19, we have to move from a fear zone. Well, that was 1 month back. We are presently in the learning zone. We can't stay there. We have to move further ahead. Where have we to go? We have to go to the growth zone. Sir, would you remove that symbol, waiting room, please, because it comes in front of me. It obstructs my presentation. Others won't be able to see it. I and Dr. Arora alone can see it. Now, what do I want to be in the COVID area? Do I want to live in the fear zone? What do I do in the fear zone? I did it. Honestly, I did it. I grabbed food from the big bazaar. I grabbed toilet paper and all medicines as if the COVID-19 was going to last for a year. I stuffed my home with all the essential commodities. And then I spread emotions related to fear and anger. I was angry with the government for having shut me inside. I said, yes, yes, if we do not remain inside, it will catch hold of us. And it kills. And I started saying, China killed thousands of people. Millions of graves were dug by the Americans. Now the corpses and dead bodies are brought from the morgue on a trawler. Some true, some false. I complained. यार क्या हो गया हमें? हमारी किस्मत ही खराब थी. ये कर्म मैंने ऐसे ही किए थे यार, मैंने नहीं सबने किए. और सबके साथ ये हो रहा है. I forward all messages I receive. This is brilliant. Pramod ji, luckily, sir, you are in front of me. That's why I can talk to you. I can only see you and 3 more friends. I don't know their names and I don't know them personally. Now, whenever we have a group of our principals, it has 252 members. I have another group of contacts, which is another 190. I was thinking of creating another. But it will be very difficult for those contacts to follow the rules of that earlier group. We don't wish anybody happy birthday. That is done on individual walls. We don't say Merry Christmas. That also is done on individual walls. We don't say Happy Independence Day. That also is done on individual walls. In the group, we have only messages related to education and educational leadership. And we love them, we appreciate them, because people are sharing a lot of valuable information. Now, we didn't do that. I have more than 12 groups, and in these groups, whatever messages I got, without even reading the message, without even testing it for its authenticity, I trusted my friend who sent me this message, even though I was 100% sure that right from the day he was born, he used to lie and never have any ideas. He would catch ideas from somewhere and transmit it to us. I forwarded it to other people. Therefore, I was spreading fear and I started getting angry. My wife said, we have no vegetables. मैं क्या मेरा सर्व तोड़ूं, आपको vegetable लाके दे दूं. My son said, Papa, I don't have any notebooks. मेरी कमीज पे लिख ले, पीछे से ला पेन. This was getting mad. I should have told him, बेटा कोई बात नहीं, हो जाएगी, 1-2 दिन में खुल जाएगा. मैं देखूंगा, आज तुम रेडियो शाम को सुनना, टीवी सुनना, बता देना कितने घंटे की छूट है, मैं उस बार बाहर जाऊंगा. अब हम आ गए हैं out of this fear zone. We are in the learning zone. I start to give up what I cannot control. Something we have started accepting COVID. And we have not only started accepting it, we know it's going to last with us. It's going to be friends with us for many, many long years. I stop compulsively consuming what hurts me, from food to news. If bad news hurts me, I don't take it. If bad food, eating, you see, because you are staying at home, now eating becomes a regular meal. I have missed my lunch always throughout my life. But now that I was confined to my home, we had lunch, we had a breakfast, and then we had a evening tea, and then we had a dinner, and if possible, we would watch a late night movie. Then we had supper also. I identify my emotions. Why do I get angry? Why do I lose my patience? Why do I like this person and do not like that person? Within the family, I become aware of the situation and think how to act. Now I try to start understanding the situation. Oh yes, I must not go to the gate. It's not my society president who has issued this order. He has done it for my welfare, for my betterment. And therefore, I should not go out. I am more than 65. And if I am compulsorily to go out, well, then I must wear a mask and I must do it speedily and I must not interact with people. I must maintain a distance of more than 6 feet from them. Whatever information comes to me, either through Facebook or through WhatsApp or through Instagram or through any other source of social media, I evaluate its worthiness, its usefulness. Will it be useful? Will it spread joy or hatred or fear? I do not distribute it without thinking. I recognize that it's not me alone who is doing his best. Every one of us is contributing in one or the other way to make the society a better place. And then Let me come to the last. I think of others and try to help them. I do not think of myself only. I have seen all Gurdwaras sending more than 1 million packs of food every time. I have seen average citizens like you and me cooking food at their home for at least 10 or 20 people. If not passing it on to others, at least their own guards, security guards, electricians, plumbers, sweepers within the colony. They give it to them. I have seen that in my colony, not a single maid has been refused payment of her salary, because I made it a point that I went up to the gate and paid salary to my both maids at the gate and said, would you like something more to carry with you? Because this time cash is very important. You must keep it at home. Spend less, but keep it at home. Well, that set an example, and there were many more who had already paid before I even paid. I make my talents available to those who need them, not to those who do not need them. I focus to be in the present. I think about the future, what plans I have for the future, but I am focused on the present. This is how I can grow. I am empathetic to myself. I pity myself. I put myself in my shoes. I visualize, and then I am empathetic to others also. I appreciate the work done by others, and I thank all of them. I always keep a happy emotional state and spread hope. Your smile is going to spread that hope. Your smile is going to reflect a happy emotional state for your friends, for your teachers, for the community, and within the family itself. I look for a way to adapt to a change. I said in the very beginning of this program that we have to accept new normals. The very normals in which we lived are going to change. I would wash my hands twice a day, maybe 3 times a day sometimes, but now I am washing it 6 times a day. People say in my family that it's become a mannerism with daddy. After every 1 hour, he goes and washes his hands. But because I have come in touch with somebody, I have touched somebody's cloth, I have touched a knob, I have touched a remote, I must wash my hands, I must sanitize them. I practice quietude. It's better to talk less. If you want to avoid disputes within your family, keep your mouth shut. Ruminate on what has been said. Have more patience. Build up relationships. This is the time for developing relationships, and you will become very, very creative also. I want all of us to move from this fear zone to the growth zone as quickly as possible. I started with this, facing the challenge. I took it in 4 broad things. I would only list them. We spoke about transportation, entrance, corridors, classroom seating, high contact area, toilets, drinking water, food hygiene, medical surveillance, sanitization, assembly, activities, blended learning and continuity plan. I have requested Rupam to be here. She did a wonderful job yesterday, but I have requested her for a little more. You see, I'm never satisfied. I want a little more. And she has been kind enough to come and be with us for another 15-20 minutes. I spoke about assessment, parent-teacher meet, surveillance by the teacher, and surveillance by the principal. I would give you these references and would appreciate if you go through them. This is where from I brought the materials. The academic calendar made by the NCERT has a large number of activities for the first 4 chapters, for the first 4 weeks. And if you go through this, you will find tremendous list of activities, both online and offline. Activities that are, I would say, non-internet based activities and internet based activities. They had made it for the primary, which I read. They had made it for the secondary, which I read. I saw this one today. I have not read it, but you can download these from the NCERT. This was my first reference as to how are they asking us to work in the schools in the teaching learning process. Then this was a PDF format sent to me from Helen Locke for reopening of schools from USA by a friend. And the friend is here. Vandana, thank you very much. Then I got a guidance for reopening of schools from UNICEF. This doc was also available with me. So this presentation is an outcome of all these documents. And I got this framework for reopening of schools from UNICEF, from World Food Organization, from the World Bank. All of these people, their top brass have contributed. And this is not a single PPT. This is a PDF document. I am only showing you the cover of this document. It's an entire document which speaks about, in about 20 to 30 pages, it speaks about how to reopen your schools. I read this from the World Health Organization that in times of stress, like the COVID stress, it is doing what matters. Thinking alone will not matter, action will matter. This again is another document which keeps us grounded, which keeps us engaged, which wants us to unhook from certain past habits and be kind to others. Now, this was the most important document that I relied upon because I knew my brothers, my professionals, some of them elder to me, some of them young to me, but those who have worked with me in the Quality Council on accreditation. I was a member of their technical committee, their accreditation committee. They have come out with a document. The NABET has come out with a document, preparing schools for pandemic. And along with this, they have come out with guidelines also. I borrowed extensively from this document, I must tell you, because I knew that whatever they have written from a quality perspective. The words may not be mine, the words may be theirs, but I can tell you the spirit comes from these documents that I'm sharing with you. This is the second page of that document. And then this I saw an online materials which are available for class 1 to 12 from NCERT. You have all these notes, grammar books, books, syllabi, and sometimes class-wise lesson plans also available. I studied all of them, and finally, I came to this document also from a friend in the USA, Catalyzing Transformational Change in School Education. This also deals with present COVID and then how to bring about major changes in our education. Rupam, would you please share your screen in case you need to share, or should I go back to those slides? Can you unmute yourself or should I unmute you? Hello, Rupam. Can I see Rupam, sir? One of us will have to unmute her, and I am not able to see her in the, should I go for Control H or Control U? I did Control H, nothing happened.
Yes,
I did.
I'm unmuted now.
You are unmuted, beta, but
She is available, sir. She's available.
Can you
She's
share the
unmuted.
screen or should I make a co-host? Where are you? Oh, you are here. I'm making you a co-host in the program. Just one second. That it doesn't take me more than a second. You are a host now. You can go ahead, beta. Or should I go back to those slides? You have your own slides.
No, sir. I'll share the screen, sir.
Oh, that's lovely. Lovely, beta. Thank you very much. My purpose is that you did a wonderful job in explaining to them how teaching learning has to go on. But now how to blend, because there are certain things that can be easily blended, certain cannot. Lovely.
Sir, I have brought out an implementation plan.
I entirely agree with you. Go ahead, Vidya.
So, the idea here is that we have to now see how do we implement it inside the classroom. Now we know almost everything. I think Sir has very extensively explained about all the aspects of school reopening, and not just reopening, about what are the things which has to be done now. It's important for us to now consider that what are the various steps which we need to take so that we are able to implement the academics really well inside our school. I am not too sure that whatever I am suggesting is something which is absolutely workable or not, but these are some of the things which came to my mind, and so I have written. So I think the first step would be, because right now there are all online classes which are happening, and when the schools will reopen, whenever the schools will reopen, I believe that there will be some time in between where it's only the school management and the teachers will be coming in. And during that time, if we can take a stock of what all academic has been, covered, how much of the syllabus has been covered. So if the teachers can, bring it out on the table that, okay, these are the things which have been covered, but in that, this has been done effectively, this has not been done effectively, children were able to understand this better, children still need some help and support in this. I think taking stock means to basically classify it into how much has been done effectively and how much has not been done effectively in the online class. Now, once you've sorted that out, it is second thing which we can do, at least we have the liberty of doing it from class 1 to class 8, that what you can do is you see how much time is available for the rest of the session and how much of it would you like to take up. See, it's not important to take all the things. it is important to take whatever you're taking in an effective manner. So it's important that you pick and choose some of those topics which you would definitely want that the children should know, because those are the building blocks for further classes. So if it is possible, you can evaluate the course content for the rest of the session, and then try to create your design of how the things are going to go on.
And how
Now,
much?
because
and how
sorry?
much? And how much?
And how
Important
much, yes.
is how much. They may decide to drop some chapters.
Correct.
Right.
So yes, so they can drop chapters, or within the chapters also there could be certain topics which might
That's
be
good. That's good.
dropped. So once that is done, then you have to decide that how would you be taking it up. Now, one thing is for sure, that we do not know whether we can run continuous classes or it will stop in between, because I think schools are the first place or the first thing which the government decides to close down as soon as anything happens. So we have to be completely prepared that any day the school will shut down and you have to resort, or you have to go back to the online classes. So this has to be kept in mind. And I think online classes are something which are now inevitable, and it has to continue. Even when the schools reopen, online classes will continue. So therefore, the blended learning approach has to be carried out. So we have to prepare teachers mentally that don't think that the online classes, once the school reopens, you don't have to do it. Yes, they have to do it. Therefore, when they have sorted out that, okay, this much is the curriculum which has to be taken, they should then decide how much of it has to be done online, how much of it has to be done inside the classes with the students. So if that sorting out is possible, I think that will be really good. Even in that, you have to check out that how much of the course content can be converted into small videos or audios, or there are already links which are provided which can be used, because that is something which saves a lot of time. And here is where we can actually use all the lost time. So as Professor Handoo is telling that we'll have to call children on an odd and even basis. If there are 40 children, we have to call only 20 children on one day. So there are rest 20 who are sitting at home. So we need to have a plan for those 20 students also. Alternatively, I don't know, sir, if I'm suggesting it right or wrong. Alternatively, we can also see that if in our schools we have bigger places, bigger classrooms or hall kind of a thing, then if we want, we can call the entire class on one day, but with a lot of social distancing, take up that class and then give them an off and let them do some work at home and then come on another day. When we are taking a bigger classroom, you will need more teachers. So because you're calling only few classes on one day, you can always have 2 teachers of the same subject for the same class. I mean, these are logistics which can be looked into. And I'll simultaneously also keep on seeing the chat, because I think there will be a lot of
board classes is the first
which
question.
will be coming up.
Go ahead, Beta.
Yes, sir. So this way also we can check it out, that maybe class 9th A all comes together and we have 2 teachers of the same subject and we use bigger classrooms. So that way also we can manage it. And then the 9th A gets some kind of a work from all the subject teachers to do at home the next day. And then they come the 3rd day again to the school. So if we want, we can arrange it in this manner also.
That's true.
So the various things which teachers have to consider are 3 things, 3 important things which they have to consider. One is that after they have segregated that this much is what they are going to be taking up, they should see how much of it should be converted in the form of video or audio lectures, how much of it has to be taken in an online class with the students, and how much of it should be taken inside the classroom. So if that can be divided, I think you will all the time be prepared for any kind of surprise closure which might happen in the school. So that's about the implementation of, first of all, just seeing how are you arranging the academics. Now, second important thing is about the assessments, because that is very, very crucial. We have to constantly keep seeing whether things are happening or it's not happening, how much the children are getting, how much they're not getting. And there are a lot of questions about online assessments. And the questions are, children might obviously see it from the book and they can write the answers, they can copy it from their friends and so on. So what is the authenticity of online assessments? Now there are various other ways wherein you can actually check out that they do not copy it from their friends, or they are under strict invigilation. Now there are ways. If you go and see, there is exam.net.com, and then you can over there you can create such kind of examinations where there is no cheating, which is possible. It's an online examination which is conducted, which is absolutely time bound, and there is invigilation which is going on. It's a good site. I would suggest you should explore that. And so, but that's one thing. What is important for us to understand, that why are we doing these assessments? So the assessments, the purpose of the assessment, of course, is to check the students' knowledge and understanding. But beyond that, if suppose we can create assessments which have some questions which are of higher order. Now, when you're creating questions which are of higher order, it is very difficult for a child to, copy paste something from internet or take it from the friends, because you'll immediately get to know. Say, for example, you have taught plants to them, and you have taught about the different processes like transpiration, photosynthesis, absorption of nutrients, and so on. So you have taught all of these processes to them. Now, when you want it to be assessed, instead of directly asking questions like photosynthesis, transpiration, and things like that, you can ask a question. You can say that Tina went to the plant. You can say that consider yourself as a plant, okay? And there is this little girl who walks up to you and she asks you that what are those important things which are essential for you for your survival? What are those things which you do which are essential for your survival? Now let the child come out with his or her answer. Now, because this is a question where the child has to delve deep into whatever knowledge he has, understanding the application of it, and then the writing ability. So this is something which is also checking the creative and the writing ability of the child, as well as the knowledge and understanding. So when the child is providing a write-up of this kind, and when you read it, you will have a better understanding of whether the child has really understood it or has not understood it. Likewise, there are various other ways of creating such questions, the answer of which cannot be copied, even if the book is open in front of the child. See, we really do not have to test upon how much the child has been able to memorize. It's important to understand how much the child is able to apply, how much the child has really understood deep inside. So can he reproduce? Can he explain it to someone else? So those are the things which we need to check. So the questions which we are framing in our assessments have to change. Now, the second important thing is, when the children are coming to the class, when they are right there in front of you, that's the time you can check on a lot of lower levels of Bloom's taxonomy, wherein you can use your quick FA techniques, maybe the response cards, or like sir said, exit card. There are plenty of, plenaries or formative assessment things which the teachers can do in very quick 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and quickly check on the understanding of all the children. So these are the things which can be done very quickly inside the class. When the children are there inside the class, the only trouble which I also see right now is, because there's social distancing, doing a bit of pair work and group work may be slightly difficult. But then because they are sitting at distance, you may say that you have to be speaking to each other. They are wearing masks and they are at a little distance, so you have to allow them to be maybe speaking a little louder. Those are the things which you have to manage. I mean, the discipline part of it is something which you have to establish your rules really well inside the class if you want the group work or the pair work to go on. Rather, I would suggest for some time you have to think of some alternative ways wherein the children can collaborate and still do not violate the social distancing norms. So that's
the last one, Rupam, the last one. My hat's off to you. That's a brilliant idea.
So
record classroom teaching and share it with those who are at home.
Yes.
I think this idea never came to me. See, sometimes the brain also ages. It never came to me. You've come up with a brilliant idea. Every classroom teaching session, which is offline, can be recorded, and then those who are at home, it can be sent to them that this is what we taught today. Go through the recording and tomorrow we'll be moving forward with the next topic. Brilliant idea, no worries.
So and because most of the schools have the CCTVs with
That's
them,
right. That's
so
right.
either that, but I don't know because they do not have the audio.
But
So
we can record it ourselves even on our laptops.
Yes. Through the laptops, or we can prop up the mobile and then switch it on, and then at one place it is stable and then the entire thing is recorded. So that way also it is possible. So these are some of the things which I thought could be practical ways of implementing inside the class. So
Very important.
now I would want to take some of the questions.
Not yet. You consumed half the time. Would you like to delve with another slide also, or there is no other slide that you want to show to
No,
me?
sir. I just had this implementation plan.
More than enough. More than enough. I tell you.
That we get to know the concerns and we address the concerns. So therefore, I thought that keeping more time for the questions and then trying to see.
There are only 2 questions that I have read, which need to be answered. What should they do with the board classes? Because you said class 1 to 8th, you can modify the syllabi.
Yeah.
You can change the curriculum that they have within your powers. But now, since they are preparing the board classes and the board may have plans of decreasing some part of the syllabi. No, they have not decreased the syllabi. They have changed the weightage. They have added chapter 2 to chapter 3 and given it more weightage. As yet, the board has not taken any concrete decisions on whether they will change the syllabi or not. Will they decrease the syllabi or not? This decision has not been taken. Now, this is what she is asking. Should the board classes also be continued in the same pattern, or would you advise that rather than bifurcating them, we should make an arrangement? Every school has a small auditorium where all the 40 children of a board class, or if they have 2 sections, 2 small auditoriums where they could be all taught together.
Yes.
Because board classes, they will have to be very particular, and schools are generally, because the principals and the schools work very hard with their children appearing in the board examinations.
Correct, sir. I think the schools will also have a lot of time.
I'll give you the second question because you can combine both of them. There is a question that says, this is about assessment formative. What about subjective testing? Perhaps what she means is, what about the test that is conducted like the board test? Yes. Where a question paper is given, an answer book is given, she calls that a subjective test.
Yeah.
Right.
So that can continue, sir, the way it is. There is no problem because children are going to be coming to the school. When they are going to come to the school, the test can be administered to them.
They will have to only break it up that only not more than 12 students sit in a room. A particular room is occupied by only 12 examinees as per the CBSE orders. And examinations can be given for 3 hours. What I heard in the morning today from a friend of mine from the Ministry of Education, the government is thinking of, even if they open the schools, they will open them for a shorter duration. That means instead of 6 hours that our schools used to be, the schools may not be initially for more than 4 to 5 hours. Maybe 4.5 hours would be the longest session in a school. So you will see that there will be a time crunch also. You had 8 periods a day, you will have only 6 periods a day now. Or you had 40 minutes period, you will have now 25 to 30 minutes periods. So that also will be a problem. These were the 2 questions. Shall I have your permission to change the screen now, beta? Because I would like to keep to my promise of time. And then we take further questions, we keep on taking.
Sure, sir. Yeah.
You unshare the screen, my screen will automatically get shared.
I'll stop share. So,
go ahead, you go ahead.
Questions, yes, sir. The answers to the 2 questions which are there, I believe that now the schools have to do away with certain things. Maybe a bit of their sports period, because that would be a little difficult to carry on. Maybe some part of the library period. So they have to take out time from all of those places and then give it to academics. So that way, if the reduced timing is something which can be catered to. And I believe, I mean, it's a blessing in disguise, I would say, that instead of saying that we've got reduced time, I think we've got plenty of time now. Why we have plenty of time? Because we are now using time which we didn't use earlier. We are using all that time at home when the children are at home. So I think time may not be that much of a crisis, because if we have planned our things really well, if we have planned that, okay, this much will be the thing which will be done through audio lectures or videos and PPTs, this much will be done through my online class, this much will be done in the offline class. If that is something which is arranged nicely, I think we have more time which we had earlier. Now we have more time. So probably I would say that timing is not a crunch if the teachers really plan it well. Planning is more important in this case. And with the in the case of board classes, the board classes can be called more frequently, and when they are sitting at home, good properly arranged work should be given to them. So I think, and sir, there is a lot of help which is available for the board classes students on the internet. There are a lot of material which is there, and the board class students are themselves quite serious towards their studies. So I think both the things coupled together will be will cater to the board classes.
I think, Rupam, within a couple of days, we are going to have DTH, direct to home services,
yes,
from the national network of TV, and each channel, there will be not less than 12 channels for our schools, and these 12 channels will be one channel for each class. So class 1 will have a separate channel, class 2 will have a separate channel. Even those programs may be very helpful, because these programs are built by good producers. They have advanced technological knowledge, and then the teachers selected by them are usually among the best. I can't say they are the best, but they are among the best. So possibly we may have some good content coming, and we could ask the children and discuss that only in the online. The lesson that they have watched, we could discuss that online, and perhaps it will add to our expertise also. Should I move forward?
So there is one on kindergarten constantly.
Oh,
I
yes,
think there are many people who are asking about how and what to do about the kindergarten classes. Though I don't know whether I can really throw a lot of light on this, but I think that kindergarten students should be called very less to the school. Mostly they should be there at their home, maybe once or twice a week. And when they are called, that is the time it should be more about active learning. And so what they can do is,
joyful learning, activities.
Exactly. So kindergarten, we really don't have to take too much of pressure, because in the on the internet there are a lot of such activities which are there, where it drag and drop activities and things which they can do with their parents. If we explore that, concepts to a large extent will be taken care of. But with kindergarten, it's important that we build up their listening and the speaking skills, thinking skills. So all of those things can be done when the children are coming to the class. So I think, again, it's the division which the teachers have to think what to do when. And if they can do it nicely, kindergarten should be called, of course, less, because these are small kids keeping the masks on throughout the time, and then sanitization, all that is, and they run around. So therefore, it's a little difficult to control.
To hold their social distancing will be very difficult.
Exactly.
Asking them not to touch surface or not to touch things, they are too small. They need more love, more care, and that could be given to them at their homes till the school adapts itself to the system, and then one class one day, lower KG one day, upper KG another.
Homeschooling kind of a thing has to be promoted by the schools, and they have to provide them the right resources in the paced out manner, so that, and more training to the parents have to be given in this case, in the case of kindergarten students.
Very true.
We cannot play with their health.
Thank you, beta. Thank you. I am obliged to you. Even though you had to receive your mother in the morning from the railway station and you had to rush down, I'm so grateful to you who made it on my request to be here with us. And this has helped us a lot, helped all my friends, my colleagues here.
Thank you so much.
I move now because we have very little time left. I promised you yesterday that I would send you back home with at least moist eyes, if not a few drops of tears. Please listen to this. Listen very attentively and forget your worries. Can you hear the sound?
गुजर जाएगा, गुजर जाएगा.
Sir, can you hear the sound?
मुश्किल बहुत है.
That's right. That's right.
मगर वक्त ही तो है. गुजर जाएगा, गुजर जाएगा. जिंदा रहने का ये जो जज्बा है, फिर उभर आएगा. गुजर जाएगा, गुजर जाएगा. माना मौत चेहरा बदल कर आई है, माना मौत चेहरा बदल कर आई है, माना रात काली है, भयावह है, गहराई है, लोग दरवाजों पे रस्तों पे रुके बैठे हैं।
I got a hint from somebody. Sir, please play the video on full screen. What does Rupam say to that?
Yes, sir. It's not full screen right now. So if you could
I'm
play it.
stopping sharing. I am directly playing the video.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that right? I share the